rise quite quick.
Yeah.
And they come to a level that maybe they get disappointed in themselves when they don't reach that level. And I think it's easier for the youngsters now, you mentioned them, you mentioned the names, to come in on this tour because it's still a quite young group of players here, except of course Michael Carrick, which brings the experience.
I mean, when youngsters came in and you were an experienced player, did the lads kind of fire past it and see if the first touch is up to much?
Well, no, it's a great opportunity for young lads, coming away here. It's their first trip, McTominay and Mitchell. But as Bojan was saying, you need that confidence as well, because you are under pressure. You're dealing with players who try to stay in the first team, so get your place in the first team. So they got to handle all that. They're probably more confident now than they've ever been with the likes of social media, and just I think in general that the young lads are a lot more confident, which it's a fantastic opportunity. It really is, to see what level you need to get when you play for Manchester United, the intensity in training. And we're also talking about Victor coming in as well, because he's coming from Benfica. We're probably a bit more relaxed, and he's had 4 training sessions here, and he probably thinks the intensity's been moved up a notch.
No, I did. I spoke to him just before training, and I asked him, I said, how are the legs feeling? He said, they are heavy. Of course they should be, it's pre-season, but the intensity of the thing, because you always have to be on your toes. When you play in Benfica, games you can have easy rise through the minutes. Here, every training session is still, Benfica is a great club, but United are one step further than that. And the pressure here is greater, but he looks very confident. He has a good left, good right. He plays the balls easy, and his dad was saying as well, he was looking on the defensive side, and you said to me that he's reading the things very well, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm just looking how he brings the ball out. So
there's hundreds of millions of pounds of talent basically in 200 yards of each other at the UCLA, because we've got Manchester United training here at the Drake Stadium, and they're just at a couple of 100 yards at the very top of your screen. You can't, where the tops of the sort of tents are in the distance, only a couple of 100 yards away. That's where Real Madrid are training. They only landed in LA yesterday. Bale's in the squad, Morata's in the squad. There's no Ronaldo, but most of the big names are there. But it just, I suppose it does show what a facility this is. Probably the 2 biggest clubs in the world are coming right here.
Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it? As I said before, the pitch out there is absolutely perfect. They say they've trained on it 4 times. It's like a bowling green. The weather was at 23, 24 degrees now. That's why they're training at 10 o'clock and later on this afternoon. The weather's perfect, so it's all there for them, and they've no excuses at all. But it's pre-season. You expect to have a few tiredness in the legs, but I'm sure they're all aiming to be fit, and it's important, but that you do stay fit for the first couple of weeks of pre-season, that you get this under your belt.
What would you be thinking if you were Morata right now? You're thinking, well, I could have been here, but I'm over there.
It could be worse. He's still a Real Madrid player. It's not that bad being a Real Madrid player. So give me that. But the thing is as well, you know yourself. When you go out on the market, there's not many high-quality strikers there. And we're talking about Morata for a long time, same with Lukaku. But as I mentioned earlier in our shows, I would go for Romelu, because we need almost a finished article, somebody that will guarantee you them goals in the Premier League. For Morata, coming over from Spain, he's playing Juventus as well, done well. He's not been regular from Real Madrid, and coming here, you have to perform. We don't have time or room to give somebody so much time and space to acclimatize to the English style of play, because we're pressuring us. We finished 6th, we came into the Champions League thanks to the Europa League final. So now, with the money spent and the quality on show here just behind us, we have to push for that title. United, if you play there, you have to get used to the pressure, otherwise you can go from the club. That is the greatness about them things. Sometimes you can handle it, but sometimes you can't, and then you have to find another club.
From our vantage point, right at pitch side, close to the players, the first time I've actually done this for a couple of days, and it realised what a huge unit Lukaku is.
Well, I tell you, in the last 2 years, since Jose's come in, we've bought players with physicality, and I think we needed to do that. Obviously, Ibra was huge. Pogba is well over 6 foot. Bailly last year over 6 foot, and the 2 boys we brought in this year, Victor and Lindelof, he's 6'2", 6'3", and of course Lukaku, who's very, very strong physically. Looks, I can't imagine playing against him. You know what I mean? Because physically, he's a specimen and all that. But we needed it, because the Premier League is there's still some. I know it's technically getting better, but I still think physicality, you need that little bit in your team, and certainly I think the last couple of seasons we've done that, and I think we've needed to do it as well. And pace as well. He's brought in players with pace.
Exactly the point I was going to make. It's being massive is one thing, but being massive and extremely quick. I mean, Zlatan, brilliant for United, but has never been quick. But it's a different thing when you have a look
different type of style of football, and I've watched these trainings here, even if it's only been like 4 sessions, but you can see what he offers you. He's always an outlet, and every time Paul gets the ball, even if it's a key ball session or they have to run the ball over the line to score a goal, he gives them that option. And for a centre midfielder to always have somebody that's going actually deep or go down to that channel, it reveals so much pressure on you, and it gives you an option, and then you can play into feet. Mkhitaryan can come into that hole. So for me, it's been a great signing, and with better players, he's going to improve. Then I mean the first touch, the layoffs, because this is a different standard. West Brom, Everton, all respect to them, but Manchester United is another step. Did I say Manchester United like American now then, did I?
No,
I've been 2 days in LA, I'm talking Manchester United.
It's 28 players are here. Some are obviously recovering from injuries, but still you read the social media, the newspapers, it's all about who else is going to come in. We've seen all the whole list of names, but you look at this squad, and do you still think, I mean, he signed 4 last year, 4 top quality players. He signed 2 top quality players this year. Do you think he's looking for another 2? So it's like 4 last year and 4 this year?
Well, I think he'll be certainly looking for another 1. 4 fantastic signings last year, I got to say that. All improved the team enormously. 2 great signings already this season. And I think everybody's in the mindset that maybe another couple are coming in. That'll bloat the squad quite a lot. I've no doubt if another 2 come in, you'll probably see 2 or 3 go out. I think it's only natural, because you can't have, it's great to have a big squad, but you can't have too many, because there'll be 3, 4, 5 players that won't play any football at all. So if a couple do come in, I would expect a couple to move on as well. But they're all here. There's obviously enough to make 2 teams up so they can play against each other formation and set up against each other. First 2 games against LA Galaxy on Saturday and Real Salt Lake on the Monday or Tuesday. Monday. So they're 2 quick games in succession. I think he'll use all the players on his disposal. And maybe after that, you might see when we start playing the Man Cities, the Real Madrids and Barcelona, you might see 1 or 2 groupings and centre halves together. So you might get a better idea of his maybe starting 11 as the season goes on.
Well, I was wondering about that. When we get to the games, which we're looking forward to, you're going to see them all on MUTV. Will the lineups give us clues as to what the lineup's going to be on the first game of the season, or will it be he's just giving everyone a game?
I think for me the most important part is to find that centre-back pairing, because we brought Victor in. I think he'll be a great addition alongside Eric Bailly. Gives you youth, and he gives you that core through the middle. You have De Gea in goal, them 2 with Pogba in the centre and Lukaku up front. They are young, but youngsters, but with quality, and that would improve the team. I think for the group, it's important that everybody get the minutes to keep the harmony in the group as well, because when you come on a pre-season tour, you still want to be part of it. And I think everybody will get the minutes, like Dan was saying, the first 2 games before we get closer to Washington. And then we have Norway and Dublin, of course, the 8th of August, the Super Cup in Skopje.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you look at the squad there, there's 5, 6, 7 centre halves, and all have done particularly well last season as well, when they've played. Unfortunately, injuries curtailed them. Whether it was Phil Jones, who had a great run in the middle of the season, Chris Smalling, but at some point there was a lot of injuries, so you had a lot of different partnerships. And I would think the manager, as most managers, really like a centre half partnership that you can build from pre-season, and certainly bringing Lindelof in will add more competition. And we know how good Eric Bailly was for us last year, so everybody be looking at thinking they might be the 2. But I'm sure Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Daley Blind,
Rocco as well.
Rojo when he comes back, Tunsabi, I'm sure they'll have things to say as well. So, but you'll get a lot more indication probably after the first 2 games. I think he'll play every player in the first 2 games.
If we think it might be, and it's also Bailly and Lindelof as the sort of preferred partnership, can you see that meshing well? I mean, you know Lindelof better than we all do, obviously.
No, I do. I'm not talking highly of him just because he's Swedish, and I love Swedish players like I did with Zlatan as well. I just think he has quality. The problem is sometimes in England, you only look inside your borders. You're good at English football, and then when you go abroad, Spain, Italy, Portugal, you lose track of some players. He's good with his left foot, he's good with his right foot, he's quite quick, and he's confident on the ball.
The Iceman.
The Iceman. But when you come from Sweden to Portugal, you get an education, the right education in a big club. There's a pressure on themselves. They have to win the league every year, and they have Porto and Sporting Lisbon as well. He did really well in Champions League in 2016 for Benfica, playing alongside Luisao, which is not easy. And to get that confidence and to come here, it's much easier for him. It's a natural step because he will give you an option with Bailly. Strength, pace on Bailly, going hard on the tackles, and Victor can actually beat that link with nice passes into the midfield or break the lines, dropping them into Romelu.
Yeah, be interesting.
A couple of years ago was 5'6". He's now 6'2", and he's somebody who, in the middle of the pitch, there's an opportunity there for somebody who sort of combines the ability, obviously, and the height. We've seen the presence of Marouane Fellaini in the last sort of 18 months, 2 years or so, and the opportunities he's had. You know, Scott could get a shout perhaps in there.
Well, I'm sure he will do. He's a good player. As the lads are saying, you don't come on tour if you're not a good player. Yeah. So the manager's put faith in him, and as we all know, he's going to play games. He can play in that midfield role. He can, as you see now, he's a big unit now. So yeah, the manager's going to give everybody game time, and he's got to take it.
Can you imagine, Dave, the lift that kid's got being here on the tour? What a lift for his confidence.
Oh, of course it is. But it just goes to show that the manager
rise quite quick.
Yeah.
And they come to a level that maybe they get disappointed in themselves when they don't reach that level. And I think it's easier for the youngsters now, you mentioned them, you mentioned the names, to come in on this tour because it's still a quite young group of players here, except of course Michael Carrick, which brings the experience.
I mean, when youngsters came in and you were an experienced player, did the lads kind of fire past it and see if the first touch is up to much? Well,
no, it's a great opportunity for young lads, coming away here. It's their first trip, McTominay and Mitchell. But as Bojan was saying, you need that confidence as well, because you are under pressure. You're dealing with players who try to be in the two, stay in the first team, so get your place in the first team. So they got to handle all that. Bojan said they're probably more confident now than they've ever been with the likes of social media, and just I think in general that the young lads are a lot more confident, which it's a fantastic opportunity. It really is, to see what level you need to get when you play for Manchester United, the intensity in training. And we're also talking about Victor coming in as well, because he's coming from Benfica, where probably a bit more relaxed, and he's had 4 training sessions there, and he probably thinks the intensity's been moved up a notch.
No, I did. I spoke to him just before training, and I asked him, I said, how are the legs feeling? He said, they are heavy. Of course it should be, it's pre-season, but the intensity of the thing, because you always have to be on your toes. When you play in Benfica games, you can have easy rise through the minutes. Here, every training session is still, Benfica is a great club, but United are one step further than that. And the pressure here is greater, but he looks very confident. He has a good left, good right. He plays the balls easy, and his dad was saying as well, he was looking on the defensive side, and you said to me that he's reading the things very well, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm just looking how he brings the ball out. So
there's hundreds of millions of pounds of talent basically in 200 yards of each other at the UCLA, because we've got Manchester United training here at the Drake Stadium, and they're just at a couple of 100 yards at the very top of your screen. You can't, where the tops of the sort of tents are in the distance, a couple of 100 yards away, that's where Real Madrid are training.